So what I've got is just the screw conveyor completed drawings. So if I click on this, I've already uploaded what my set looked like when I was done with it, and I have a PDF of mine. But I have that other assembly that we haven't put on a drawing sheet yet. That is all of the sub-assemblies coming together with some other parts, and then from there, that becomes my main page with my revision history, and uh, and then it's detailed out with my parts list here, what is what. And then I start into my sub-assembly. So here's like the first sub-assembly with its associated parts. And then I hit the next sub-assembly right here with its associated parts. And then at the end, I end up putting all my cut files bundled together at the end. So what I've got like just 3 sheets of cut files. So mine ended up being like a 13 sheet print set here as a finished thing. So I'll show you it's pretty easy how to do this. So I'm just going to open open AI. No, I'm going to open a new drawing, just my template. So I'm going to open my template for a new drawing real quick. Somewhere I have a template. It's in my other class. Got my B size sheet. And then I'm just going to open that assembly that we haven't, my master assembly that I haven't put on a drawing sheet yet. But that's where I was putting my seal plates and the studs to hold the bearings and stuff like that. So let me go to mine. It's this one right here, and that's where I put my gearbox on as well. So this assembly probably in yours doesn't live on a drawing yet. So I'm going to take it to this new drawing here. I'd put that thing on here. I just did a quick isometric view of it. I don't know what it ended up being, 1 to 15 maybe. Something like this. Yeah. And I brought in my parts list. Posted that on there. So just so I know what I have to mark or balloon. And I'll adjust this thing so it fits here a little better. And then what I ended up adding was just a couple of the views. So this I mentioned this yesterday. Sometimes it's difficult to point out anything. We you guys probably have some studs over here like I do to hold that bearing and a nut that held it on. So this can be hard to balloon. Maybe you can't select this and do it. Like one workaround when I do sometimes like this is I will just turn these on quickly to like a hidden line shown, and then you can balloon and you'll be able to grab these things from their hidden lines, and you'll be able to get the actual correct balloon marker. Of course, when you turn off back to, because you don't want that to live like that, I turn it back to this, and it'll hold its place. But it kind of, I mean, this is my hack method a little bit that I'm like, there's one, it might be a little confusing, but if somebody put two and two together, like, well, one and one together, they would see that this is, well, that's the housing. That one actually should be my stud if I would have marked it right. But this is one method. I decided, sometimes I will do this, especially if it's a little more clear. Whereas this one wasn't. I decided to bring in kind of the end views of this. So I brought in, and maybe I put those at like a 12. And I didn't bring in their view label. I already have it marked over there. So I actually just brought in a couple end views here that I did want to be solid. And I just added a text box to say that this is the drive end. And then I had a driven end view. And the one that I needed the most was the driven end. I just decided to do them both. So actually, when I brought in the next one, I just flipped it around. Sorry, to the back side here. I don't want that one. And I dropped my end view here. And then I could easily get a balloon attached to those. So that's just, you got to do what you got to do, especially in order to identify parts clearly. This one I'd want to be this way though. So this is all I've done is kind of drop these views in here so that and then I can balloon to these really easy. I think I ballooned my motor over here. Let me check out what I actually did. Yeah, it just allowed me to get those balloons placed, clear that up a little bit. And then I started adding my other subassembly drawings that are already done. So all I got to do in here is come into my drawing set and copy and paste from your other one. So I would just go in and open um, my housing set of drawings somewhere, not my assembly, but my drawings. That's that one. I have an extra sheet in mind just because in case I need to add anything to it, so I have one that's ready to go. But yeah, I would copy and paste all these in. So I'm just gonna shift select all these sheets, right click and say copy, and then jump over to this new drawing set, go into this blank space here and paste them. It's going to ask you when you do this if you want to replace the title block, I think is what it is. Yeah, it's like what it's asking is it's got an ANSI large title block. Would you like to replace the existing resource or create a new one? So I think it's going to override it. Either I say replace because the ones that are coming in have the same name. They are actually the same title block. So I just say replace them all, and it won't really matter. If you say new under your drawing resources tab here, let me just cancel that real quick. Oh, I'm gonna have to cancel like every sheet it's gonna ask me that comes in if I'm gonna replace that. And if you say new on all those under your drawing resources, you'll end up with like all like this. What's going on here is it brought in everyone and it made a copy of each title block. So it ends up kind of being a mess. So I always just say replace on that as long as my title block is the one I want. Sometimes I'll use one that's coming in and I want to replace my other one, but and we haven't dug into this too much, but this I have to come up here to the drawing resources tab, and it's kind of how I manage my title block. So I could replace an old one with a new one if I brought it in and used it as the one. So um, we won't get into that in too much detail, but that is where I manage my. And so I'm going to undo what I just did here because if I bring him in, I just want to say new or replace. And I think I'll end up with it's going to ask me this on every drawing sheet though. I wish you could say replace all. And then this should now be just the same title block. Yeah, then I just keep the one that matches the rest. So then I end up having collapse all these, do a quick update here. And then I've just got them ready to go. Ooh, am I missing this drawing sheet? I might be missing this one. Let me let me check my. It's almost like I maybe forgot to bring this one over because this one should I think in my I just oh no, it's there. Okay, it's my second sheet. It's got my parts list of the housing, which would be pretty normal. That's how that would go. And then good. I thought I for a minute I thought I didn't have that sheet in my imagery. But what I would do is get rid of the revision history block once I brought it into this. The revision history block is going to live on the front page, that first page that I've newly created. So I would only have revision histories on those in the next pages down if there was a revision that applied to that sheet. So in this case, this one I'm going to delete in this print set. And then when I bring in, I would do the same thing for my screw conveyor and just copy and paste those in as well. And then yeah, I do have my cut files up here, and then I would just rearrange these orders and just drag and drop them to the end of the sheet. So my cut files generally in an entire print pack, the way that I like it and the way that when I work for people, and that's part of me, is that all the cut file sheets for an entire piece of machinery were just towards the end, and they might be, end up being 10 or 15 sheets of just cut file sheets. So that's kind of what I have in mind to turn in for this last your completed drawing assembly. So I think I have made a few corrections to mine, but very, very minimal from what I have displayed in the individual assignments for the housing and the screw conveyor drawings. But this is just kind of the final assembly. And yeah, so I just wanted to show you that. And that's all I have for you today.